Hello, that was Estudio by Francisco Tárrega. It's on page 96 in lesson 18. Estudio is one of two pieces that uses a pattern that emphasizes the ring finger. In other words, the ring finger is playing the melody. This is three-part writing here. So we have the melody, we have a bass played at the same time as the melody, and then we have an accompaniment. Let me break those three parts down. Here's the melody. Okay, I wanted to play that melody for you so that you embrace it, you wrap yourself around it. Understand that this melody, just like a song, is the most important part. You have to recognize the melody, bring it out balance-wise, but most of all, play it as if it's singing. So the bass is played at the same time as the melody, but only on beat 1. So let me just play a little bit. Okay, just on beat 1. And then we have the accompaniment played with your middle finger and index finger. The middle finger is assigned to the second string and the index finger is assigned to the third. So that's your accompaniment just on the second and third string. So I'll play a few measures of that, put it all together. Okay, so understand that the accompaniment is support for the melody. So play it that way so that the melody is brought out, it's singing, and the accompaniment, including the bass, support that. Okay, once again, I'm bringing out and isolating these parts and giving you understanding of the score so that you play it with understanding. If you weren't aware of that, you're not going to hear it. You're going to play it that way, and it's not going to be very musical. So you always want to play with understanding so that you hear it in your inner ear, and then you use your technique to articulate and express what you hear. All right, so let's look at the score, the big picture here. We have just 4 lines, 4 phrases. Okay, each line is one phrase. The first 3 measures of the first, second, and fourth line are identical. So the only difference then is the third line. So basically there's only 8 measures of material. Before we start, let's look at the key signature. This is in key of E minor, so we have 1 sharp. All Fs are sharped. It's in 3/4, so we have 3 beats per measure. But on each beat we have triplets, so we have 3 eighth notes on each beat. Again, on the first eighth note of that triplet, the ring finger plays the melody on the first string. The second eighth note is played with your middle finger, it's always on the second. And the third eighth note is on the third string played with your index. So that's the pattern. So if we're just playing all open strings, it would be this. That's beat 1, it's beat 2, and beat 3. Let me do that again. Beat 1, bass, beat 2, and beat 3. Okay, I would suggest you just get used to that pattern before you even start using the left hand. Okay, now let's add the left hand. Okay, so beat 1 is all open strings. Beat 2 and 3, we're using our 4th finger on 3rd fret G. Okay, so let's put that together. this point, think about emphasizing the first string, because that's where the melody is. And also putting vibrato on, beautify that melody right from the start. All right, so let's try that again with that understanding. Okay, measure 2, we're going to keep our fourth finger down on G, right? And we have a suspension here. So this is, we're going to keep this down, and we're going to be forming basically just this D7 chord. All right, so now the bass is on the 5th string. We release the G and resolve it to the F sharp. Okay, so if I put both those measures together, okay, so throughout this piece, there's these suspensions. It's a little tension and a release throughout. So we're going to be holding over a note from a previous measure, as we'll see. So there's the first half of the first phrase. All right, so measure 3, 5th string B in the bass. All right, our second finger stays down on the A. Our third finger stays down on the F sharp. All right, and that's on beat 1. Okay, we put our fourth finger back down on G, and then we release it, so we're back to the F sharp. Okay, so it's this. Notice how the bass and the accompaniment still ringing, extremely important. All right, now what we have in measure 4 is our third finger is on the F sharp, 1st string, 2nd fret. We're going to slide it up to the B, 7th fret. That's the only thing that's going to be down. We have a 6th string bass again. And we're going to put vibrato on that too. All right, so let me play this whole first line. Okay, let's jump to the second line now. Again, the first 3 measures of that second line is identical to the first line. I'll play that. We don't need to review it again, but I'll play it. Just measures 5, 6, and 7. Okay, measure 8. We're playing all 3 strings, open strings, with our ring, middle, index. They're still assigned to the same strings with the bass. The melody is still on the 1st string. Remember that. The melody is still on the 1st string. This is the melody note. And then the 2nd and 3rd string are supporting that. So you get a really good balance between those 4 strings. You have to really listen. So we play on beat 1, all 4 of those notes. And then on beat 2, we're just playing the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. But understand that that is a half note, so that needs to ring for 2 beats. So let me play measure 7 and 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and okay. Now, let's go ahead and jump to the 4th line because it's, like I said, it's almost identical to the 2nd. So let's just get that material out of the way. All right, so we still have and again, like measure 8, we're playing all 4 of those strings. And again, on beat 2, we're playing those first 3 strings. But on beat 3, we're playing the bass again, okay, and play that very lightly. Now, as I had said in the beginning, you have the option on beat 2, instead of playing open strings, to play a harmonic on all 3 strings. We haven't discussed harmonics, but quickly what this is we are lightly touching these strings right over the fret bar on the 12th fret. Okay, right over it. You won't put your fingers where you normally would to play a note. It's right over the fret bar, and we're lightly touching and even brushing up on the strings to get a bell-like sound. Again, this is additional, so if you're uncomfortable playing this with the harmonic, just drop it, because it's not even in the original score anyway. This is something added because it's very popular to use. So it's just this, 1 and 2 and 3. Okay? All right, so now let's talk about the third line, measures 9 through 12. It starts out the same. Every phrase starts out with these open strings. Then we have our third finger on G, and we're sliding that up to the B 7th fret. Okay, so it's this. Okay, if you slide, that's fine. It could be very expressive, but don't put the emphasis on the slide. All right, just. All right, so we have our third finger on 7th fret B. Now we're going to make a half bar, which means we're covering the first 3 strings. Okay, and that's going to be on the 5th fret. And that's all that's going to be down. You're going to have to get a very, very clean sound, a good bar. So again, it's only a half bar, so you don't have to work too hard. So let's look at beat 1 here. We're still at measure 10. This. Now you're just releasing this third finger, so all you have down is a bar. And then your 4th finger will be on 8th fret C. Okay, if I play those 2 measures, measures 9 and 10. Okay, everything's still ringing out. So now we're at measure 11. We're going back to first position. We're forming a D7 chord. Bass is on the 4th string D. You're going to put your 4th finger down on 3rd fret G. Now this is the trickiest part. So you're going to go ahead and lift your 2nd finger off 3rd string A, but keep your 4th finger down on the G and your 1st finger down on the 2nd string C. Slide that position up 2 frets. So now your 4th finger is on 5th fret A, and your index finger is on 3rd fret D. And ultimately, I'm going to be having my 3rd finger on C, which is 3rd string, 5th fret. Okay, this is what you want, but the risk of making a blunder is greater if you try to put everything down at once. It's not necessary. We're playing this C on the 3rd string last, so put it down last. So this, lift everything up, start playing, and then at the last minute, put down that C. So much easier. But this is the trickiest part of the piece. Well, just one of 2 tricky parts. The next tricky part is the next measure. Okay, this is measure 12. So we're going to keep down our A. Okay, our 1st finger now goes to 6th string G, and now we're playing that with the melody. Okay, and we want this to ring out, so be careful, because the next note is the 1st string G, right? And so that's a little tricky. Notice how it's ringing out. We have a really beautiful suspension. But if we lose that support for that suspension, that bass note, it's all lost. This. Don't want to do that. So you have to really use a lot of control. This is a little tricky to tuck in that 2nd finger. You could use your 3rd finger here instead of the 2nd. That's perfectly fine. The only reason why I say the 2nd finger is because you can immediately put it down here, because you have your fourth finger on the A and just drop it down, as opposed to doing this. Okay, but using the third finger is absolutely fine. Okay, the important thing is to make sure that that rings out. Then on that last beat, we're just taking our second finger or your third finger and sliding up to 7th fret, B. All right, so that measure, again, measure 12 is. So let me play these two measures again, measures 11 and 12. Okay, so put in a lot of time in those two measures. It's the most demanding part, and it's the most beautiful part of this. There's so much tension and so much beauty in it. You want to really bring that out. Okay, beyond the technique and understanding the three parts and controlling the balance, again, this is an absolutely beautiful little piece, and you want to play it that way. Make it as expressive as possible, using vibrato, using time fluctuations and volume fluctuations to emphasize the beauty as you hear it. All right, make it musical, make it expressive, make it your own, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Okay, so have fun with it, be expressive, whatever, just play the stinking piece, all right?